it has a hanging. It's a short and shriveled.
Oh yeah, low baby, low to the ground.
Yeah.
You talking about my balls right there? Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
If an old guy's talking to you, don't worry about asking if he's lowballing you. He is, okay? He is.
He definitely has low balls.
Right. Now I'm suddenly gonna like my hair a lot better. I got a feeling.
Yeah, this will make you like your hair more. Well, I guess it just let him in.
You know what? I look terrible now. Oh, that's Danny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't know if that's true that all comedians wish they were musicians and all musicians wish they were comedians. I don't know if that's true, but there's a lot of it.
Yeah. I don't really care about being a musician.
What would you play, Tom?
Well, would I play? I'd probably play drums. Yeah.
You seem like a piccolo.
I would have picked kazoo.
Kazoo, really? I used to try to play the harmonica. You know what I mean? As I drove around, I'd just drive with my knees and fake like I'm playing along to Blues Traveler.
With the harmonica?
Yeah. Like it's in the car door thing. So what? Hey, what are you working on? What are you working on, by the way? You know, I saw a post. I want to get to a couple things. One, I want to talk to you a little bit about your military. I want to talk to you about what you're working on, and like your post on Memorial Day, which could also be a July 4th post, was. You know, it struck me the way you were like, I was a Special Forces, my dad was Special Forces, it's all what I always wanted to do, and then you're like, and I have none of that stuff up in my house because I don't want my son to do it. Why don't you want him?
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before. First of all, my dad was Special Forces and I was Airborne Infantry. Those are two totally different things. And there is only one Special Forces, and that's the United States Army. Most people talk about like SEALs and the Air Force PJs and things like that. They're talking about special operations. But, you know, I guess supporting the troops is not enough to actually know what the fuck they do. But that's neither here.
I never said I supported them, okay? I just said...
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everybody. Everybody. People say it all the time. Special Forces. My favorite is he was Special Forces. I think he was in the Marines. Well, those are two totally different things, and you know, that's fucking annoying, is what it is.
So
but
the SEALs and the.
But
I don't even know
outside of that,
isn't there a group of Special Forces, Danny? Like there's like the SEALs, and then I don't even know the other ones.
There's 5 Special Forces groups. No, that's Special Operations.
Do they ever have like a Special Olympics?
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yes. I could have seen that coming too. Yes, that was.
I'm the worst. If both y'all guess my jokes, that's terrible.
But I think I've told you this before. When the Afghanistan papers came out, I was done. I mean, after the Pentagon papers, to have the same thing happen again.
I'm not
it's like, well, then I don't want my kid to be a part of it. I don't. You know, I mean, I think we've even gone through. You've seen sort of the evolution of me, where you know I used to believe fervently in the Constitution and these ideas and stuff, and then you know, just as you go, you realize it's just a bunch of bullshit. It's just a lie. It's all a lie, and I don't want my kid dying for a lie. So, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think Americans are something you should be willing to die for. I don't think they're that special. You know.
What? Really?
Yeah. Huh. Maybe humanity. You know what I mean? Like if we get attacked by aliens and you get to do that Independence Day stuff, that might be fun. But I don't think
is that hard on you?
Know, I mean, look, if they land here and we have to fight together, I think we could pull it together for a little while and do that. But that's not going to happen. And so
you could Ozymandias it, you know, Watchmen.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't know why I made that reference. Continue.
Does that? It's interesting. Does that hurt your? Because I can just picture like a you from 15, 20 years ago really arguing with you about this. Or would you be able to convince that version of you? Like, no, dude, or does that even kind of hurt right now to say?
I had to go. Yeah, I think I'd have to go through it to feel it, to be there. You know what I mean? But really, if you've read the Pentagon Papers and then you go and read.
I haven't, so I don't even know what you mean by this.
I lost my subscription.
Well, what's his name? The guy that he took the Pentagon Papers and released it. What the Pentagon Papers was a think tank had basically done an investigation inside of the United States military with all these military commanders, politicians, things like that, about what was going on in Vietnam. And the overwhelming theme throughout it was that everyone knew that they were not going to win, that there was no winning, that it was going to be this slog, that they were going to, that they were just, they're killing people in the end. And each group would lie. And then, it was a huge lie all the way through. Same thing in Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, the outgoing, a unit takes over. So let's say the 101st takes over the whole country. All right. So the 101st is in charge of the whole country. And as soon as they get there, they determine that these things need to be done. When they leave, they go, these things were done. The next unit gets there and goes, this shit wasn't done. So everything was done.
Like a line cook that comes in and the guy didn't do prep the night before.
Yeah, they don't know how to cook.
Yeah. Well, they didn't, they were not making any real gains. And if they had been honest about it, they would have understood that. And I think I've told you before, I honestly believe with a place like Afghanistan, probably same thing with Vietnam, would have been that you have to go there, send the units there and send their families and tell them you're living there. And it's just going to be a new state. And it'll take a couple 100 years, but in that time, we will change it. But that is, you have to dominate it and stay there and be a part of it. And if you don't do that, then I don't know how you really do these things, other than what I would have wanted to do in Afghanistan, which is go in and get the people that did 9/11 and then get the fuck out, which is what we should have done. But, we decided that we were going to, because we always think we're this great country that we're going to change everything. And we're not. We're just not. We're not even good at it ourselves. How the fuck are we going to bring it to somebody else? You know what I mean? So anyway.
We used to joke about how
there's not a lot of humor there, because it really is painful for me to know that I had to, that my belief system was invalid and was bullshit, so it's hard to.
So why didn't you realize that before? Like the Pentagon Papers were before you joined. They were like, that was already out there and everything. And so it sounds like you're the Afghanistan papers were your last straw or whatever, or whatever papers you're talking about now. I guess the ones in Ukraine,
Well, look, I don't think I've ever been accused of being all that smart. You know what I mean? So it's going to take time for me to learn. And number two is that I grew up around fucking superheroes. So, I grew up around Green Berets. There was a part of me that wanted that no matter what.
Why didn't you do it?
Why didn't I do what?
Be a Green Beret.
Oh my God, am I gonna retell my entire story to you? I got wounded and I was fucking medevaced back to the States, and I was medically retired for 3 years.
I thought you were
That's the reason why you get to complain about my time as a flight attendant, or as you call it, a stewardess, because it was one of the only jobs I was allowed to do while I was medically retired. So I was airborne. I was airborne infantry, baby. I was there for 4 years. Then I got hurt. It takes longer than 4 years to become a Green Beret. You got the Q course itself is over a year long. And you also have to be able to speak another language. And when I got hurt, I had Ranger Battalion and Ranger School in my contract, so my next contract. So I was at least, hitting that next stage. But that was a long time ago.
I didn't know you were. How are you wounded? I thought you got kicked out because you stole a Jeep or some shit.
What?
No, he acts like I should know these stories, but he sort of not told them.
We didn't. We didn't have Jeeps. That was a little bit before my time. But I did steal a few trucks. And by steal, I mean I used vehicles without a dispatch. It happened to be if you get into anything that moves in the United States military, or you take anything, any kind of weapon or whatever, you sign it out, and there's paperwork involved. In a vehicle, there's a thing called a dispatch, and that's you sign out and you have your papers with you, and you have it for the period of time that you're supposed to have it, and then you turn the vehicle in along with the dispatch, and there's all this paperwork being done. The unit that I was with, they weren't doing that. And I mean, this is a long story that I'm going to shorten up real quick. A couple of guys crashed a truck that I had used previously in the day. And they were not going to come forward. So me and my buddy were going to have to take the full weight of that. And the full weight of that, once they came out and the MPs came out and did a crash investigation or whatever. And this truck was in a tree. It was the bumper had been wrapped around a tree. The back end was off of the ground. These guys had jumped a ravine into the tree. And so they went through the whole thing, and we basically had come up with the story that a deer had run out, and we went off the side, boom, boom. Not unlikely, by the way. That was a very likely situation, and it had happened before. And then the cop goes, okay, let me see the dispatch. And I was like, yeah, I didn't have a dispatch. And he was like, put your hands on the car. And, and patted me down, put me in handcuffs, put my buddy in handcuffs. And then they took us to their base. And they went through this, and we gave them our driver's license. They were like, this isn't a fucking driver's license. Give us your driver's license. I was like, listen, man, I'm giving you what they gave me, and this is the stuff that I had. And they ended up realizing that unit was not doing it properly. And so they let us go, and they took they took out a colonel, a sergeant major, a captain, and a first sergeant that went down in that.
I don't even know what that means.
So it was like a big, huge thing. But I was hurt in a fight, and I mean, it is what it is. Years ago, man. It's years ago.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
You've just since I've known you, you've been very, you've always been very still pro-military, not that you're anti-military, but you've been very, like when we did Afghanistan and Iraq together, you're very you've just been very insistent on how much you still loved it. You could see that. So it's just interesting to me to see that you're like, I don't want my son in it. You know what I mean? Like you've had.
And again, I'm not. I'm against the commanders that lied throughout the process, but I'm not against the soldiers that served. That's my family. Those are the people that I understand and I respect. But I do not believe that my child's life is so cheap that it's worth dying for a lie. And you have to find me, with the exception of World War II. Maybe you can make a case for the Korean War, I guess. But with the exception of those, since then, tell me a time when we did something well, I guess I'd say the initial idea of Afghanistan was the right idea to go in there and get it. But as soon as you started taking out the government because, you don't like them and they're bad people or whatever, now you're in a situation where you're running a government. And, I never had a class that was about bringing freedom to a country. I had all kinds of classes about blowing shit up and marksmanship and how to kick in doors and things like that. Not one class on how to turn a country into a democracy.
Hearts
not
and
one.
Minds 101.
So,
Yeah. There's not that Hearts and Minds 101.
Yeah, I guess not.
yeah. No.
Would you implement that, or would you say that's not our responsibility?
Look, we've had, again, I keep saying this, we've had this conversation before. If you were going to go, if you're trying to change an entire nation, then you have to take it. And by that, I mean that you have to own it. And owning it means that you don't just go and have an air base in Bagram and the guys come for 7 months or 12 months out of the year and then they go back, they're on tours. You send them and their family and they live there, and that is the situation. You do not and they're going to have kids there. They're going to this is going to become a part of America. Now that's colonizing, I believe is what it's called, and a lot of people are opposed to it. But in that situation where you're going to nation build, that's the only way you can nation build, because we have to pay for it, and we have to. You can't be there for 12 months knowing that the last 3 months I don't give a shit what happens. I just have to live through this. You have to be there for the whole thing, so that you're invested in their lives, and their lives are invested in your lives. Okay. And then you could credibly change something over generations. But it's going to take a couple of generations. It's like
yeah, we don't have time for that. Let's just go get the guy and get out. If we're that great, let's go do that. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
exactly. I have a joke I'm working on, Danny, where a guy.
As soon as somebody says that they can nation build, tell them that I'd love you to do it. You can start in Appalachia. As soon as you get that place civilized, you come and let me know. Okay?
Yeah, you're talking about the Appalachia in the United States, Appalachia?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Go up there and see if you can get those fucking people to do what you asked them to do, and film it so that I can watch it at night.
Yeah, you're in it, but by the way, Seth is an Appalachian.
That's okay. So is my family. I'm not.
I know what he's saying.
I'm saying because I know it for a fact that you're not going to get those people to do what you want them to do.
So help me with this joke, Danny. Help me with this joke I'm working on. Right? There was a Marine recently that strangled a guy on a subway in New York. Right?
Oh yes. Yeah.
I don't really know much of the story. I know it was a little bit of a controversy. You know what I mean? The guy was like a Michael Jackson impressionist and had a history of insanity or whatever, and so the Marine, strangled him to save everybody or whatever. So,
right.
So the guy's dead. First of all, his Michael Jackson impression is dead on right now. You know what I'm saying? He's killing it. And but the joke is,
yeah, okay.
That people are mad at people are mad at the Marine for killing the guy. But can't I just pretend he was doing it to protect my freedom, like I did when he was killing Iraqis?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You don't expect that joke to win, right? I mean, it's like a lot of your other ones.
I was kind of hoping it would get a smile out of you at least. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this is the audience for this joke. No, not even for you. It doesn't work. No,
well,
it didn't occur to me that wouldn't work.
Ranch situation, you'd say, well, of course he's a Marine, so he killed him. If he was in the Army, it had just tortured him, and if he was,
he didn't have time to waterboard him.
Yeah, and if he was in the Air Force, he would have taken him to breakfast, and if he was in the Coast Guard, he wouldn't have been there to begin with. So
what about the Navy? I mean? You left the Navy out.
It was okay,
Really?
I mean, what's the Navy gonna do? Outside of the SEALs, what do you have there? Just a bunch of people playing, yacht on a big boat.
No, they're the airport.
Although they may get a chance now because China's got a huge navy. But I honestly believe China's navy is going to be as good at it as the Russian military has been. And I don't know. People haven't really I haven't read enough about it to me that I think most people understand. But the Russian military has been an incredible letdown in Ukraine, and it's it's unbelievable.
Yeah, you know what they're like? They're like the New York Mets.
Bad.
You know what I mean? Like they have good, they have a great off season.
A lot of money.
Yes.
Nothing going on.
It looks like they're really going to be in the fight this year, and then it's like the game's not even partially over, and they're already out of it. They got, they are the Mets.
Well, I mean, they're not out of it. They can still come back. There's that's the hard thing about this, but just the ability of the Ukrainians to be able to stop that, and at that level. Has been just unbelievable. But it's been something that I've talked about. I don't believe your military is as good as you keep telling me it is. And but the thing about China is they have a lot. They have a lot. They can just send a lot.
The same thing you can say that about our military. We're like 0 for 4 in our last 4 big wars. Like,
no, we're not. We're 0 for 4 in your fucking ending idea of what it's supposed to be. We're 0 for 4 in nation building. We are not 0 for 4 in military activity, okay? What we're supposed to do. Iraq, take it. Afghanistan, take it, okay? Pick a fucking place and we get it. We took Iraq in like 6 weeks. Get the fuck out of here. You don't think we would walk through Ukraine like it was goddamn water? I mean, the idea of suggesting that the United States military isn't the greatest military that's ever been on the face of the fucking earth is just insane. And yes, our military is capable of what its job is, which is to take and destroy. We can do that. We do it really, really fucking well.
Okay,
Anyway,
that's a pretty good argument right there. Never mind. I wanted to interrupt him with what about those 300 guys in Sparta or whatever? Those guys were pretty badass, comparatively.
Yeah, I don't know that the documentation on that is actual,
Yeah, there's no
I haven't
grease
seen
papers.
any pictures.
Yeah, there's no.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it seemed like a really good unit. It really did. I was
so
not
what are you
impressed
working on,
with their
by the way?
costumes.
What are you working on, by the way, Danny?
I'm working on this whole trying to be nice thing about trying to be a decent human being and how difficult it is. And the one, I've got 3 rules in my life now that I try to live by. And the most important one, which my dad told me a long time ago, that comes from the Hippocratic Oath, which is first, do no harm, which I think is enough to explain to you who my dad thought I was, that he didn't say, be your best. There's nothing you can't do. He said, look, just don't fuck up the party, okay? Just don't ruin everything, all right?
Don't ruin everything.
So yeah, I'm working on that, and then I'm working on.
That's a good rule.
I pitched a game show to a friend of mine that was not really interested in it, but I like it so much that I'm trying to get it done, and if I can, then I will get to it's one of my dreams has been to be able to do things with the people that I love more often. And so like having you and Stewart and and maybe seeing Kostaki again and Hooper and like down here Ron Hortman and Jeff Klein, all these guys getting it's a game show for comedians where they don't have to use their material. And it gives them an opportunity to be very, very funny.
Isn't that Instagram?
So I'm going to try to do it myself. And so that's my little thing. That's what I'm doing.
So you're going to get a venue and shoot the game show yourself, and
Yes. Yeah.
Apparently we're logged.
I'm going to do it.
Zoom.
I'm going to start. I'm going to do one first to just to prove to myself that the concept works. But then, if it does, then I'm going. I mean, there's a couple venues here that I could do it at. One is a little bit of a better idea than the other. Eventually, I'd like to have my own venue, But I don't know. I don't know. Is there a place in the podcast world for a game show? I don't know. So I'm going to try because I really like the idea. So, and again, it's one of those things where I think we've learned that if you're going to do this, you got to do the stuff that you love because you're going to be doing it for a long time. And if I'm going to fail, I'll fail at something that I really want to do rather than something that I think people will like, because who the fuck knows what people like? I mean,
yeah.
Apparently a lot of people watched Roseanne Barr say that, the 6 million Jews should be, weren't killed and should have been. And I think that was supposed to be a joke, but I'm still trying to figure out how. I mean, I've heard some decent Holocaust jokes, but that wasn't.
What's your favorite one?
Was my favorite Holocaust joke?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to go back, and I think Attell had one that was pretty good. But my favorite joke about that time period is the one that they do on TikTok and stuff, where it's knock knock, and he goes, "Who's there?" And he goes, "Nazis." He goes, "Nazi who?" And he slaps him and goes, "People ask the questions."
Yes.
I know I'm not even doing it right, but I love that every time because they do it with like animals now and stuff, and it's hilarious. So, yeah.
I saw a Ricky Gervais
but,
one on Seinfeld where he said a guy.
Oh, that was great.
That is a great joke.
Yes,
that's my
great.
favorite. That's my favorite one, I think, of those.
He is like one of those ones like I think like Tosh that people forget how fucking really good they are, and you know what I mean. Like people always say Chappelle, they'll say Burr, they'll say I think just as a right now, like because of where I am in life, my favorite is Chad Daniels, although I've told you before, I think Maria Bamford is the best, but Chad Daniels is my favorite. But I think Ricky Gervais and Tosh, I don't think they ever get the credit they deserve. I mean, about how good they are,
Yeah, but they got the bank accounts that show how good they are. How about that?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Look, I'm sorry. I gotta go. I know. I hope you said you were in the shit with your parents. I hope everything works out. But I gotta.
Yeah. I got plenty of shit to do. Believe me, buddy. I really want
to expand on this idea of like what you're working on, and then like I want to tell you some of the stuff I'm working on, and have you tell me some of the stuff you're working on, and then see if we can help each other make it funny. Like I tried some of that stuff we were talking about on the phone the other day about when the girl at Starbucks told me to smile or whatever. And so I've been sort of writing on that. So I'd like to go through that with you and sort of pitch that stuff to you like we were doing the other day and laughing and stuff. So, and then
it's a great bit. I love that idea. Yeah. I love that idea for a bit.
I like this idea of the rules you're living by thing. That's good also, So, I mean, is that really where you? Is that
yeah,
where you're
and I've been working on another one too about the death penalty and that comes off of that, which is like, is this how you know that I'm a horrible person? Is that I'm opposed to the death penalty philosophically, but in practice, I need it there because there's a real good opportunity that I'm going to prison and I want death row because you get your own cell. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you get like 20 years of reading before they actually do anything.
So.